Hey, welcome back to the Expert Edge. And today I've got a great interview. It's with an amazing woman. Her name is Erin Skye Kelly. I've known Erin for a number of years now, and she runs a really successful coaching business helping women get out of debt and build wealth. And she's got both sides of her business. Really good conversation just about how like the mindset and strategies for getting out of debt if you're in debt, and then also building wealth. She has built, she's got herself out of, I'm not going to say, but when you hear how much debt she was in, it blew me away at such an early age. And then how she turned it around has built significant wealth in her life. It's really cool. Now, she's also a force to be reckoned with when it comes to running Anthony Robbins's conferences. Like, she is one of the pretty much the main person who organizes some of the biggest conferences for Anthony in the world. And so she's like a really high capacity woman and just a really good person. So I think you're going to enjoy the session today. Now, I will say, if I wanted to talk about your story, if you haven't worked on your conversion story yet, oh my gosh, you need to get that thing refined. Because I got a message the other day from a student who's done conversion story formula, and she was just telling me how much refining her story and actually sharing it on podcasts, on webinars, on her presentations has given her so much confidence to deliver her message with clarity, and the feedback she's getting, the clients she's getting from it has just been amazing. So definitely check out conversionstoryformula.com. if you haven't gone and check that out. It's one of the simplest ways to get started with any of our stuff. So let's get into today's conversation without any further ado with Erin Skye Kelly. Hey, it's Colin, and you are listening to the Expert Edge podcast. I was a professional speaker for over a decade, and now I focus on helping coaches, speakers, and course creators to speak and sell on virtual and live stages. The Expert Edge podcast is weekly content focused on helping you build your expert business. We cover marketing, storytelling, sales, communication skills, and so much more. Thanks for taking the time to tune in, and make sure you subscribe and follow us on all our social channels so you don't miss a thing. Let's listen to today's episode. Erin Skye Kelly, welcome to the Expert Edge.
I'm so excited to be on the Expert Edge. We get to hang out when there's not millions of people around us and we're shouting in each other's ears at an event.
Yes. And that is where we have caught up quite a few times now. I think we originally met at the Kajabi event. Was it?
Did we?
I feel like we met at the Kajabi event was it Irvine or something like that?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was their like first big event.
Right.
And
yes. You were sitting on the left-hand side. I remember now. Yeah. Yes. On the left-hand side.
Bouchard spoke, and
yes.
Which was kind of cool. And then we kind of connected and we stayed in touch over the years. And you run an amazing coaching business helping women really transform their lives and their finances, which I'm excited to get into. And you're also involved in, pretty much the biggest companies in the world, like leading Anthony Robbins conferences and being, just heavily involved in that for many years. So I'm excited to have this conversation. So can you just give us a bit of an overview about the coaching business that you run, first of all? Like, what got you into it? What's been the journey?
I got into it by accident, Colin. I got into it by accident. I was such a mess. I got into $2.1 million in debt in my 20s.
So we're beginning there, right? I love this.
And I had no idea what to do. I was financially illiterate. I mean, I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was buying assets. They weren't assets. I didn't know the difference really between an asset and a liability. And I was making a hot mess of my life. And every time I tried to make it better, it just got worse and worse. And so I was desperately seeking somebody who could help me. But all that happened was I would go to like a bank or and I would just get, they'd consolidate debt into more debt. And then some middle-aged man was getting richer as I was getting broker. And so I swore that one day when I figured it out, I would help women. I just was like, I got to help women. This is like insane. And the only financial person that was out there helping people is a guy that calls people stupid and shames them into paying off their debt. But there's no real wealth building process after that, right? And I thought, my gosh, I just really want to help people. So I came into coaching totally by accident. And what's great is I did obviously sort my life out, which is wonderful, and started to help people. And it just sort of grew from there. I think because I so deeply cared about the experience of the women who wanted to also change their life, financially speaking. And then it grew into all the other things that has grown into. And I accidentally also started working for, as you mentioned, Tony Robbins, which also gave me a different perspective on ways to coach and ways to run events and ways to do different things. And so the sort of marriage of those two things is, I think, what really gave me the edge. Yeah.
What do you find for people, thinking about yourself and this
Yeah.
journey of getting out of debt? Because I know you've got a book called Get the Hell Out of Debt. And then
Yeah.
you've also got a podcast called Get the Hell Out of Debt. So
Yeah.
that obviously has a big focus on finance, but I know that you also help in the transformation of especially women really transforming their lives and becoming wealthy. And you've helped many people become millionaires. What do you feel like is the turning point of for you, what was the turning point for you and even in your clients of where they stop going backwards and start going forwards?
And if I could do this all again, Colin, I would not lead with a book called Get the Hell Out of Debt or a podcast called Get the Hell Out of Debt,
Yeah.
because it attracted the wrong audience for who I am and what I do. So it's been very interesting. Like, it's been a happy accident because of course I'm very happy to serve.
Yeah.
But it's I didn't know all the things that I know now, right? And so if I could have hired you a million years ago and been like, how do I strategically do this, right? I would be,
Yes.
a billionaire by now. But it's funny how there's this point in everybody's journey, right, where you're really you're stuck, but you don't see the thing that's right in front of you. And I think, whether or not that's debt or any other area of your life, what I didn't see that was right in front of me was that by having a book called Get the Hell Out of Debt and having a podcast called Get the Hell Out of Debt, I was attracting people who were deeply, deeply in debt. But the work that I actually do is for six-figure income earners who want to become millionaires and just don't know how to make that happen, right? Who want to transform their bodies, their relationships, their lives, have a business they love, be able to be more present with their children, marry the husband and have the mad, passionate monkey sex and do all the fun things, right? Like that's normally who I work with. But because the book came out and it was called Get the Hell Out of Debt, which I believe if you're if it's six-figure income earner, you better get the hell out of debt, right? Because there's a way to leverage and there's a way to grow your income and there's a way to build wealth, right? You don't need to be messing around with, very high cost consumer debt. I want you to get the hell out of debt. But what happened was my audience grew massively for people who had negative net worths, which doesn't then grow my business. So I had these kind of two sort of businesses at the side. So I had to figure out a way to get the people who really were deeply, deeply in debt as quickly as possible into a position where they could then become millionaires or multimillionaires. So for example, if you come to me and you're not a millionaire, but you don't have consumer debt, it typically takes me 3 to 5 years to help you become a millionaire. And we're talking like solid millionaire, not just, leveraged millionaire. If you're in the Get the Hell Out of Debt program, it takes me 8 years to get you to be a millionaire. It just takes longer because, it's a very, very long sales cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the habits that you've had to rearrange, whether it be mindset habits and physical habits? Like if you could give me your top 3 to 5 things that have really helped, what does that look like?
For me and my business, you mean, or how I teach people?
How you teach people.
I guess it's kind of the same ultimately. But I remember a reporter asking me one time, if you could teach anything in elementary schools or junior high schools about money, what would you teach in terms of financial literacy? And I was like, oh, actually, that's not the first thing that I would teach. The first thing that I would teach is integrity and your ability to keep your word to yourself. That's the number one thing that trips everybody up, whether you're running a business or whether you've got a health goal or whether it's a financial goal. So many people, particularly women, are overfunctioning, meaning we are doing so many things. We're doing our jobs, but we're going to help you do this over here and we're going to nag you to take out the garbage. But if you don't take out the garbage, then we're just going to do it ourselves. Like we're doing all of these things and not keeping our own word to ourselves. And when we can shift that means paying ourselves first. That means, going for the walk or the workout before you sit down to work and answer all those emails. That's connecting with your partner before you connect with your phone. It's all of those basic things, right? But that
Yeah.
ability to muscle that integrity and grow that muscle is the most powerful and one of the most transformative things that you could ever do for your life. So that would be the first habit, obviously, right? Is that muscle.
Can I speak to that? I know,
Yeah.
like that for me, I mean, that's the number one value in my company
Yeah.
is self-integrity,
Yes.
is you do what you say.
Yes.
And because that for me is, I agree. Like with us working with clients, it's the number one habit that one must completely encapsulate in their life.
Yeah.
And there's a journey of that, like, because you kind of slip up and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's like the more you can do what you say, my gosh,
Yeah.
it changes everything. So, but
And it's
anyway, keep
never going
going.
to be
Yeah,
perfect. That's the thing, right?
it's
Is it's
never
never going to
perfect.
be
Yeah,
perfect. And I
yeah,
think people hear the word integrity and they think, oh, I have integrity. Like I've never murdered anybody and hidden the body. Like
yeah.
that's not what integrity is at
No,
all,
no.
right? And I, got to the point where I kept an integrity tracker on my wall. So I have this board. I'm looking at it right now and it's got 365 like little circles on it. And
Okay.
every day that I keep my word to myself, I color in a circle.
Ooh,
I've been
that's
doing it
cool.
for years. And my goal is not to have a perfect board because perfectionism is going to
Yeah.
trip you up when it comes to integrity. My goal is to have as many circles colored in as possible and to
Yeah.
try and beat last year's record of circles colored in. That's
Yeah.
it, right? And it's this muscle and this process, but how quickly you recover when you make a mistake is also the next secret, right? Like that would be my
Mm.
number 2 thing. It's like you're going to make a mistake and you're going to screw up. But the faster you recover, the easier you are going to be able to transform whatever it is you're trying to. So think of it in terms of fitness, for example, right?
Mm.
Women will often say, I'm going to work out 3 days a week. So for the first 3 weeks, they're going to the gym, right? And the 4th week comes, might be dependent on a certain cycle, might be dependent on who cut them off in traffic or how busy they are at work, right? But they won't go. And what a
Mm.
lot of people will do is go, screw it. I messed up. I'll start again next week. But
Yeah.
just even being able to go, you know what? I'm going to do bicep curls in the kitchen with this gallon of milk makes a huge difference in your ability to recover quickly tomorrow. And the smaller those gaps are between integrity, the richer you'll be, the happier you'll be. You'll be somebody who's totally relied upon. And as you always talk about in your book, the trust factor is so important.
Mm.
Like trust is the most important thing when somebody's on a stage. It's so important when you're coaching. It's so important when you're running a group or having a retreat. Like when clients know that you can be trusted to show up when you say you're going to show up,
Yes.
to do what you say you're going to do, that translates into dollars in your bank account for sure. Yeah.
It's the fabric of everything. Like, because
Yeah.
when I think about even the reason I have it number one in my business is if I can't trust the word of one of my team members, the whole fabric of the team breaks down.
Yes.
And it's the same with our lives is like, if we can't trust our own word with our lives. And I love that idea of like the rebound of how quickly you can rebound from a breaking of our own self-integrity. And I love that. I love that. So it's not shaming yourself on that. It's just getting better to do that. Now, I will say that doing that alone is tough.
Yes.
Like not being in a group, like I know you run groups for that. Obviously we run groups as well. Like that for me is one of the reasons why I join programs is because it helps me become more self-integrate
Yes.
because I'm watching the group members do it as well.
Yes. And there's nothing like being in a group of people when you're the one who's not like you will, you know what they say, right? That whole thing of like, you don't rise to the level, like you fall to your standards, blah, blah, blah. Like there's many different ways to say that. But what's true is when you're in a group of performers or a group of people who have that type of integrity, you will rise to that standard or you'll leave the group.
Yes.
And that's important for the group, but it's also so important for you. But women, we do this crazy thing where women will keep a promise to someone else over keeping the promise to themselves. I don't know if men do. I've never been a man, so I can't say for sure that men do it. I
I'd say
just know
less.
I
It's
think
less.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like if my neighbor, let's say, was going to walk a mile with me every day. So we set out every morning. We're going to go for a walk. And then one day her sister breaks her leg. She's going to say to me, I can't walk today. I have to make lasagna for my sister who broke her leg.
Yeah.
She's going to put her health and well-being below her sisters. Whereas somebody who has integrity is be like, I'm going to make my sister lasagna right after we go for a walk. So can we walk a little faster today? You know, she would not put the other person in front. So it's so important to recognize that we can justify as women sometimes that overfunctioning. We can, because we feel, well, at least I'm taking care of someone else. Like how I'm so righteous. It's so good. But what we're really doing is we're eroding our own self-trust in the name of making an excuse that just sounds like it's a prettier excuse than saying, you know, I've decided not to honor my integrity today. So
Yeah.
anyway, it gets
Because it
messy.
feels selfless. Like it feels
Yes.
like you're contributing, which is lovely.
Yes.
And it erodes
Yes.
your self integrity and what you can give out from,
Yes.
especially at a certain point. Like it just slowly does that. I love this. I love this.
And
So
the thing
yeah,
with
what
like,
else?
say for example, sorry, I'm off on you got me off on
No,
a
this is
tangent
good.
now, Colin. But it's the thing when, you know, when women diet, for example, and so one of the things that we teach in total life transformation is lasting change, like how to really set standards and create a new life for yourself that has really high standards, but that isn't hard to maintain. So, for example, in the past, when women get sucked into like a diet program, for example, or a fitness program, they'll do it, right? If they do all the things, they lose the weight and they think that the weight loss is what is giving them confidence. Look at me, I'm down to whatever size or whatever percentage body fat or whatever pounds or whatever kilograms I'm into.
Sure.
And this is what I weigh now and I feel good. But if that scale or that measurement was what they used as the benchmark to feel good, they're going to gain the weight back. We know with 100% certainty. But if they use the benchmark of, I completed this fitness program or I changed the way I eat because I'm the type of person who eats this way, or I'm the type of person who does what I say I'm going to do, then we know it's going to stay off because now it's in their identity. It's part of who they are, not what they did that one summer. And so that's the piece that's always missing in all the advertising for lasting change, right? It's like you can't have lasting change forever and ever when you're focused on a measurement that doesn't relate to your character. It's never going to hold up. So anyway, that's all I'll say. I'll shut up. We can move on now. But
Yeah, I love this. I love this. This is so good. You focus a lot on midlife. What is that? What are some of the challenges that people get into and some of the kind of shifts that they get to make with this? Because it's interesting. Like I feel like I don't know if it's what midlife is. I'm 44, and it's definitely been an interesting, probably like 5 or 6 years for me. Like heading into my 40s,
yeah,
and then our kids now are 11 and 13. It's like I would say for me personally, and I'm speaking as a male, but it is the definitely by far the most busy, pressure driven, overwhelming like season I've been in,
yeah,
100%, with just
yeah,
all the demands of the kids, the businesses, the family, the
yes.
everything. And so I can see I'm looking back and I'm like, I can see how people have breakdowns.
Yes.
I can see
You've
why
never had
why
yours?
people do some crazy things. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
tell me about this midlife journey and your perspective on it, and yeah, because I know that's a big focus for you.
Well, it's funny. Even when I was in my late 20s and I'd sort of solved my problem, I was always coaching women midlife.
Mm,
And I was a fitness instructor. I was the youngest fitness instructor I grew up in Alberta, Canada. And so I was 16 years old when they gave me a step aerobics license. They let me teach step aerobics and spinning before it became Peloton, you know.
yes.
And now I think you have to be 18 where I live, probably because of the liabilities. Somebody probably figured out, you know.
Yeah.
So I think because of my connection to the fitness world at a young age and having midlife women who suddenly start to get interested in fitness, I just have always had a connection to midlife women. So then I'm, you know, late 20s and I've got this financial thing and it's these midlife women that are coming to me. And then I'm in my 30s and I'm raising kids and stuff and there's these midlife women coming to me. I'm like, what is happening in midlife?
Mm,
So I think what happened was I just really understood, or I feel like I have a good understanding of when you wake up one day and you realize, wow, I think I'm here by accident. Like I didn't plan for this. I didn't
mm,
want any of this. How do I change it now? Because I've got a mortgage, I've got a car payment, I've got children. I'm waking up next to this person who I barely see because we're ships passing in the night. I don't have any idea what our finances are actually like. And they sort of wake up and they're like, I'm scared to look, but I don't want this, but I don't want to blow up my life either. Like,
Yeah.
is there a way I can manage this? And of course there is. But I think because I always saw that, I've always related to that. And I think because I, had this massive failing in my 20s where I was, in debt to the millions, that was my midlife crisis, Colin. I had it very, very
Yeah,
early.
you had it early.
I had no choice. But then walking with people through that really gives a perspective of, you actually don't have to be midlife to change your life. You
Yeah.
don't have to wait until that happens. Like, you can actually change it at any time. But what are the signs? And catching those things really early can allow you to build, you do such a great job with your family. I know you love your kids. I know you're intentional with how you, are present with them and all of that stuff. So what is so cool about you is when they grow up and leave, which they will, and it'll happen in the blink of an eye, you are not going to feel that thing that a lot of parents feel, which is your identity was wrapped up in your fatherhood, or your identity was wrapped up in your motherhood, and now they're gone and you don't know who you are. You're not going to have that because you are intentional. You do push yourself to grow. You do go on adventures. I mean, you've been on some of the biggest life adventures,
Yeah, definitely.
that anyone can have. And so you're not going to have that, same big crash, but yet you, as you said, you can understand why people have it because of the
Yeah.
season of life you're in. So
I
that's
love that
important.
description of like, you wake up one day and you're like, has this happened by default? That was a great description of how it happens.
Yeah.
I
But it's
feel like
not
I've been,
default, as you know. It's not like you
yeah,
did intentionally choose it. You just didn't know
yeah,
you were choosing it.
yeah. You
Yeah.
didn't know. Yeah, you didn't know you were choosing it.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. One of my secret weapons is I married well.
Yeah.
And my wife is just amazing. So like, she is basically my executive brain for a lot of the things in our life. So, which has been big blessing.
Yeah.
So
You need to give her a big hug for me because I think she's an overfunctioner but wrapped up in a
yeah,
very capable shell. She's just
yeah,
amazing. She does
I
a lot.
agree.
Yeah.
She does a lot. Yeah, she
Yeah.
does a lot, and definitely I can see that pattern. And I know probably some men do it, but I definitely think women do that over functioning quite a
Mhm.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. With running your coaching business, like
Mhm.
your own one, what does the offers look like? What does the transformation look like? Because I know, like, the listeners here today, they have their own coaching businesses and courses and things like that. Like, I want to know, what's been the journey of like launching things for you and serving clients, and just the journey of growth with running your own coaching business.
Yeah. I have made a lot of mistakes. Like, every single mistake that you tell people not to do, I've done at some point, right? I really have learned. I started off as more of a keynote speaker. That was sort of my background until I woke up one day and was really like, I am deathly shy, which you're probably right now like, I don't believe you, but that's because I'm at home. You can't see below my waist. I'm wearing sweatpants and fuzzy socks. I'm in my comfort. And after we're done this podcast, I'm going to go hide and read a book for 90 minutes to recharge. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I would be on these stages with like thousands of people. I used to do an event. One of the events I did was called Power of Success. And so I would, there's a bunch of speakers that would open before Tony Robbins would get on stage, for example. And I'd get out there. I had my push-up bra on. I might have even wore 2 push-up bras back then, and I had boots on and high heel and all the things and the nails done and all the things. And I would go out there and I was performing. I felt like I was performing. I didn't know the things that you teach, right? And how to connect and how to just be authentic. But it's because I wasn't being true to who I am as a coach. I was doing what I saw coaches doing, and I was putting myself out there in a way that I thought I had to be in order to get the results I had. And ultimately now, whenever I go on a big stage like that, I'm just me. I go out in my sneakers and I speak the truth and I tell the stories. But that's that comes from a long place of like, learning and all of that. As far as the offers go, the Get the Hell Out of Debt program was sort of always this accidental buffer. I created it because I didn't want other people to struggle financially. I didn't know anybody out there that was teaching finances to women in the way that I needed to hear. So I needed there to be humor. I needed there to be like a creative brain behind it. I couldn't fit into all the spreadsheets and check boxes and stuff that most people teach. I needed to know, if I'm a creative person, how do I manage my money? So we teach very simple systems for all of that. And also if somebody has ADHD or they're a bit neurospicy in some way, like how do those people, have, because I was worried I thought, I think I have ADHD undiagnosed. And, I was like, turns out it's just
I'll put
a
my
lot
hand up for that.
of technology, right? Like ping, ping, ping,
Yeah.
ping. So I needed like different strategies and different systems. And so that's what I created. But my goal with Get the Hell Out of Debt was never to make money off of people who are broke. I never wanted to do that. I wanted to be able to provide something for them that they could access at any point that was a really trusted, safe place. So it's grown to thousands of people. It's a $99 offer, one-time fee, lifetime access.
Wow.
It's a massive community. And there's 3 ways to pay because we know that when you're in financial pain, you can't always afford that, right? So it's $99 one-time fee, or pay what you can. You can send any amount. You can send $5. You can get in the program automatically, or you can request sponsorship. And the sponsorship thing has only happened in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But people who've graduated the program, they end up paying for somebody else to take it. So it's cool
That's
because
cool.
you can, and so it's basically accessible to anybody. So if you request sponsorship, you pretty much get in right away.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of like the core offer. But what happened is as that took off, right, obviously my revenue disappears because now people are like, oh, I'll do this free program. I'll do this free program. I'll do this free program. Whereas I'm over here teaching other people how to become extremely wealthy and extremely successful in other areas of their life. So the sort of divide between those offers is too great.
Yeah.
I should have either doubled down and only done the debt stuff and, focused on podcast revenue or something else coaching wise, or only at least sort of left the debt people in the dust. But I couldn't do that from a heart level. So Get the Hell Out of Debt will always be just sort of a gift to the world. If anybody ever needs it, here you go. But what's cool about it is it runs itself now. I'm very rarely in that program.
Yeah.
There's videos and all kinds of assets available, but people who are in phase 3, which is like once you've paid off your debt and you're building wealth, we call that's phase 3 of the program. Those people are now mentoring just inside the Facebook group or inside our community. They're offering advice and they're vetted to make sure that they did the program the way that we thought, they should do it. And they haven't done any, get rich quick schemes, and they're not trying to sell anybody anything.
Yeah.
And so that community is really, really self-supportive. But over in the area where I earn my money, that comes from years of experience of being a real estate investor, being just an investor in general, somebody who manages cash flow and manages companies and runs different divisions of things and has multi-million-dollar budgets to deal with. And so that type of coaching, that's a very different woman than the one in the Get the Hell Out of Debt. So that woman is she's a 6-figure income earner. She's probably midlife, or she's watching people approach midlife and going, I don't want any of that. I'm going to course correct now. And she wants financial freedom soon because she wants her time back. So she probably wants to quit her job in a couple of years. She wants maybe to leave a relationship, or she has left a relationship and she's not sure what she wants the next few years to look like. And so those women end up in Total Life Transformation, which is a year-long container, beautiful, beautiful community where we're doing the work regularly around things like integrity, like you and I were talking about, things like finances, relationships, health and vitality, all those things together. So that's really like you want to raise your standards of your life. Yeah. That's the course to go to. But we try not to mix them. So it's very difficult for me because, and this is again where if you want to give me free advice right now, Colin, I will totally take it. But what happens is if somehow somebody who's just joined the Get the Hell Out of Debt program, maybe they got sponsorship into the program, they've got $30,000 in credit card debt and $20,000 in student loans and a car payment, whatever else. If somehow they accidentally get an email from me that's like, Total Life Transformation's coming up, get on the wait list, $10,000. Well, they are mad. They are so mad at me. They're offended. Yeah. Because they feel like I have.
Their mindset is just like, it's so, well, it's quite victim mindset.
Yes, it is.
Like, and it's just a mindset. It's not who they are as a person, but a lot of the time entering that place, if you're really in a bad spot, a lot of the time it's whether you know it or don't know it is because you've kind of become a victim to your own circumstances. Yes. And that self-integrity is the first breakthrough, which is what you teach, right?
Look at you. You can teach it. You can totally teach it.
It's the first breakthrough. It's like you have to take full responsibility and be integrate to your word and to yourself. and that gets you out of victim mode very quickly. But the turnaround, if you've been in that mode for quite a long time, can take a while. So
and I've been there. I lived there, right? I
Same. I've been there
really
as
thought,
well.
yeah. And there's a difference I want to say between like systemic poverty issues, which is not what I deal with, right? I'm
Yes.
talking about people who usually have some sort of privilege and have just gotten themselves into a big hot mess, right?
Yes.
And I really believe it's our responsibility, and everybody in our community has been really good about this and does this in some way. The whole point of getting rich is so you can give scobs and scobs of money away to charities and to people that matter to you. So you can really help people from a place of abundance, because it doesn't do you any good to be broke and be, giving $3, rounding up with your groceries so the grocery store can give that, it benefits you to get yourself in a position of total abundance. So you can do big acts you can pay off somebody's GoFundMe. You can, start a charity of your own. You can do all kinds of things that matter to you. That's the whole point. But of course, right, when you are stuck in that victim mindset and you're like, this has happened to me, like, and yeah, I do believe the banking industry is predatory. I believe student loans are a crime. But student loans compound by the millisecond. Like that, even though the rate might look low, the rate of compounding is so high, people will make payments on student loans for 40 years and owe more at the end than they did when they started. It's just insane. That's a whole other combo. But I just think when you can get out of that mindset of this has happened to me.
Yes.
And get bigger than the obstacle and be like, how am I going to use this now to create abundance for my family and for myself so I can have some sort of freedom? And that will make you not offended. That will make you be like, wow, I want a coach that's rich, because who wants to learn from a broke coach, right?
Exactly,
Nobody. So it is a huge shift.
I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that challenge. You've seen a lot of transformation in people's lives, and you've also been involved with Anthony Robbins for a long time. And I think that's also how we kind of connected as well. You run massive events. Like just recently, I was out at Anaheim. You helped me out with getting some access, which was lovely. And I came out to Anaheim, thousands and thousands of people in the conference. You're like driving this conference from the front end. How have you become a person that can hold the capacity to lead such a big event? I know that you're running it like a lot, from my understanding, like logistically and team and things like that. What does it take in you to lead and even to work with Tony? Like, because Tony is a monster, he's a beast, right?
Yes.
And I've been to many of his events, and I'm like, this guy is the real deal. Like, he goes after it.
Yes.
And so, tell me about your journey of like becoming that person to hold the space and capacity to do that.
Childhood trauma, Colin.
Yeah, That'll do it.
In all seriousness, I don't do the team behind the scenes is phenomenal. It's not just me. I'm a peg. I'm a cog in the giant wheel of all the things Tony Robbins, or have been anyway. And what I love, the team behind the scenes to me was always like family. I love them so deeply that if somebody messes up, it doesn't matter. We got each other's back. Like, so that part's really cool, because none of it is about me. My success has nothing to do with me. It has to do with everybody and looking out for each other and the way we all love each other. But, what's cool about Tony as a human being is he is the biggest love. He is all heart.
Yes.
And what I've always loved about him is there's so much he does that obviously you see, right? He's so generous on stage, but he's extremely generous behind the scenes in ways that people would never know. And that to me has been so important. That's the thing that drives me when you're, on your feet for 18 hours a day in concrete in a giant stadium somewhere, and you're dealing with all these challenges. It's like you just put yourself in his shoes and he would just get it done. So it makes it easy to function at a very high capacity because of who you're serving and the mission that you're helping, right? That part's very cool. But I think what's happened for me is I've watched people not function in those types of environments. And so I'm going to answer your question backwards. It's like when you lose the reason why you're here, when you start focusing on all of the elements that go wrong, you're going to be in big trouble. Your coaching business is going to fail. Your company's going to fail. You really have to stay connected to the customer. And I think that was my main role for Tony. One of the things that I always did for him was just report back to him on how people, like I was in the trenches with the people, like running the groups online, like making sure there was a particular group of women I was in charge of. And so we would meet online, once a week in sort of community. And we'd be talking through some of Tony's teachings and how they actually practically apply. And so it's the story of women like Trudy, who when we met, she was in a wheelchair and now she's walking I'm in a steps competition with her on my phone. I cannot keep up to Trudy. I can't.
Yeah.
But those stories and feeding those back to Tony and Sage, his wife, have been so instrumental in being the thing that drives you, because it's one thing to see him on stage and hear his brilliance and all of that, but it's another to see the ripple effect of how what he teaches has an impact on children who will never even, have an idea of who he is, but because their parents went to one of his events and changed their lives, or his parents were inspired at Business Mastery and built a business that then served the community in a big way. Those touch points are the thing that they make anything possible. So I joke about the childhood trauma because, as you know, people who've had a lot of trauma can carry a lot of things, right?
Yes, true.
But it's ultimately the staying connected to helping other people. And Tony's big mission is helping people avoid suffering, right? Stop creating your own suffering.
Yes.
And so when you can stay connected to that mission and understand, then you're performing the mission, whether you're in a grocery store lineup or whether you're in a massive stadium. It's the same congruency throughout everything. And the rewards just come. They come. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing, so I've done quite a few of Tony's conferences. I did the firework walk like in 2009 or something in Sydney. And then I went to Business Mastery in Fiji and hung out with him. It was 100 people. I was sitting on the front row for like 5 days with 100 people in the room at his hotel, which was so cool. But he has really changed my life. And I love that. Such a good reminder of being connected to people. It's interesting. I was chatting with some of my clients who are at like the $1 million a year mark. And I was just recently having a conversation with them about, do I want to scale to like a $5 to $10 million business? Because they're like, I already feel very disconnected from my clients already. And they're like, I'm not in the coaching calls anymore. I'm not doing as many of the things. And that's, I know for me, one of my decisions has always been, I personally always want to be involved in my clients' lives. That's why when people join my programs, like they see me, they get involved. Especially with my coaching programs. And I love that. I think that, if you've lost that connection to your client and that passion, it's really tough to keep driving.
The next phase, I was talking to Dean about this, Dean Graziosi about this, how community, and Dean really believes this. Dean really stood up for me a couple of years ago inside the Tony Robbins organization when I was fighting for community. And Dean was like, give her what she wants. Let her do what she wants, right? Because community really is the next phase, especially in an industry that's now so driven by AI.
Yeah.
And so having for people who are at that $1 million mark and they're trying to scale, do I go to 5 or 10 million? You need a community manager. That's your next hire for sure. Somebody who is the boots on the ground. Tony can't be on every single call that's related to him, but having a representative that has the heart he has, or that has the vision he has, and then can just give him the Coles notes and be like, here's some people we're watching, like here's some people you need to get to know. Then he can jump on the phone with those people once in a while, right? Those are the surprise and delights. Those are he still has a pulse on what's going on, but that is such a critical role, I believe, for this industry for the next 5-10 years, especially as things are changing, because you need to stay connected. Now you love it. I love it too, right? I'm in the Facebook group for Get the Hell Out of Debt, and I'll sometimes comment on people's posts and they're like, oh my gosh, Erin's commenting on my post. I'm like, dude, I'm in my pajamas. Don't get too excited. I might be on the toilet for all you know. Who knows? Don't worry about it. I'm just a human. No big deal. But that's, you and I love that. So we're there. But for a business owner that's doesn't have the time freedom or is, at that scale point, that community hire is going to be so crucial to get them to the 5-10 million.
Yeah. That did it for me. Like hiring a full-time coach community manager has helped us to grow properly and then report back and everything. So that's so good. Erin, you're amazing. I'm sure there's going to be lots of, especially women who want to either get out of debt if they're in debt or, check out some of your other programs. What's the best place for them to go to check it out?
I have the longest name in history. It's 3 Irish names and I'm half Lebanese. So this name doesn't make any sense, but my name is Erin Skye Kelly. So you can just go to erinskyekelly.com. You can
I'll put a
find
link in the
anything.
show notes. And
Yeah,
it's Skye with an E on the end.
yeah, and then people are like, is there an E in Kelly? I'm like, no, there's no E there. So there's just random E's smattered throughout my name. So it's hard to find, I know. But I'm on the internet. And so,
You
but
show up as number one. When you search Erin Skye, whether there's E's anywhere, it'll
yeah.
show up.
Oh, thank goodness. Do you want to know why?
Yeah.
I had to do some serious SEO work back before AI took over. I did some serious SEO work because there was an Erin Skye who was a porn star.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's why I had to have Kelly on the back of my name, because my name really is just Erin Skye. But I had to I put Kelly on the end so that there could be a differentiator, because we both at the time had long brown hair and about the same build. And so from certain angles, Colin, it looked
That
like
is
we were the same
hilarious.
person. So I did a lot of work back then to get the SEO. So I'm so glad you said that. Now it's not going to matter because AI is going to do its thing, and that's all gone to dust. But if you do find me on the internet or you follow me online, please DM me and say that you met me through Colin, so I can follow you back, and so that we can build a relationship, because that would be really cool.
Yeah, and you're really active on Instagram. We connect on Instagram, which is great. So definitely connect with Erin on Instagram. Thank you so much for coming on the Expert Edge. So many great insights and stories and shares. I appreciate you being in my life, and thanks for coming on.
It's great to be here. Thank you.